admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
They landed on Earth 25 years ago, and no one knew they existed. Not until the terror started.
They started following me. I'd come home at night. It felt like people had been in my house. It was like they were playing a game with me.
No one knew how to stop them. No one knew if they could be stopped.
Now they want Elizabeth too.
Once the terror begins, no one can stop the strange invaders, except maybe you.
Good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome once again to the Drive-In Asylum late movie. This weekend, we are the late movie, because we're only showing one movie, you know. Some nights I gotta work. And with me on the program are Becca and Sam Panico from BNS About Movies. Hey, guys.
B and S. You got both.
You got both. You got bands about movies.
You got bands about movies tonight.
A rare appearance. Welcome, Becca.
Usually, I'm here. Usually, I'm just on the sofa in the background.
It doesn't count. You have to be on camera.
Oh.
So yeah, we're gonna watch a great movie it's one that I know both of you love.
That's one of my favorites.
Strange Invaders, not Space Invaders.
No.
They got the title. I mean, they were on the Zeitgeist with this title, weren't they?
I guess it was part of a projected trilogy.
Yeah, I love the first one, Strange Behavior, aka Dead Kids.
Dead Kids.
How didn't it come out with that title? Some wonder. Even in '82, when they didn't care about kids, they were worried about that title. But this also comes out really close to Invaders from Mars too, the Tobe Hooper canon movie, and it's kind of like it's interesting to me because in the same way that we have this nostalgia for the '80s, there's a 50s nostalgia at this time. Doesn't it make us all feel old realizing that the 50s were closer to the 80s than the 80s are to today?
I don't even want to think about it. It's like, you know, you climb so high up the building, you can't look back down at the ground anymore. No. You'll get dizzy and fall. So yeah, this actually, this is probably only the second time I've seen this movie. I don't even really remember much about it. I know I saw it on HBO.
Wonderful.
Back in the day. And it has a lot of great people in it, including, help me out here, Nancy Allen.
Louise Fletcher.
Yeah. And June Lockhart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know why you like this movie, though, Bill. Because Christina's in it.
Yes.
Diana Scarwood. Yeah.
I'm going to tell.
I'm going to tell.
Understand. The first word I ever heard out of any of you was, you know, her big role as Antigone in Mommy Dearest. She's in this movie tonight. And,
my favorite line from Mommy Dearest is, "I am not one of your fans." Yeah.
And Kenneth Tubi's in this too from The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool.
Right.
June Lockhart are both, you know, of the era of like 50s science fiction stars. So that's pretty exciting.
And don't forget about Fiona Lewis.
Oh, how can we?
Mm-hmm.
She was sort of like a big thing there for a couple of years. She was in Dead and Buried, was she in? Or no? Oh God, the title escapes. But anyway,
Magic Box, they can tell me. Magic Box, tell us about Fiona Lewis.
I know. She was
other movies too.
Not the singer. Tell us about the actor, the British actress.
Fiona Lewis was sort of like a sex symbol.
Tintoretto, Bill. How can you forget that she's in Tintoretto?
And she's also the mean villain woman in Inner Space, another favorite movie of mine, where they shrink Martin short
Oh yes,
and put him inside Dennis Quaid. I mean, that's like all my favorite things in one
And
movie.
she's the main villain in Strange Behavior. So she's the one that has
Right.
the needle and injects people. And that she's in The Fury, Two Bell, and Dr. Fives Rises Again. She really did a lot of stuff. And stunts.
yeah, I remember reading a lot about her in Fangoria,
Mhm.
her famous monsters. I don't remember them giving a lot of coverage to Strange Invaders though, and this was sort of like one of those cases where the studio made a movie and then just sort of like didn't promote it, and
Yeah.
they sort of lost their support for this film.
It seems like Orion did that a lot too with movies. Like they would kind of dump them off sometimes. It's not a huge
Yeah.
budget. It's only like $5.5 million, which is for that time, it's decent budget.
Well, it opened at the end of the year, 1983. I think it was projected to come out in the summertime, but they just kept pushing it back further and further, and eventually it opened in that no man's land of like September,
Yeah,
October.
it's not enough time for Christmas, but it's kind of, What's really amazing, it's written by Bill Condon, who has gone on to not really do, he did Chicago and Dreamgirls and the last two Twilight movies and the live action Beauty and the Beast. So his career's maybe gone a different way. You can see him briefly in this movie too. He's one of the newspaper reporters for a couple seconds.
So thanks everyone for coming and hanging out with us. I see some familiar faces out there. It's nice to see all of you. And, I know it's the late show, so thanks for staying up with us.
That's why I'm here. I have coffee. So I'll be here for a while, at least.
Yeah.
But
Sam's going to come up with something that'll put us to sleep.
I know, right? You two like to stay up, though.
Yeah, we do.
You're night people anyways. No, but I first saw this movie. This was a movie that my parents had, because it came out, I guess, if it's 83, it's the year before I was born. And I came across this on a VHS tape that my parents had taped off television, like where, you'd record 3 movies on one VHS tape. This was one of them. So my brother and I found it when we were little, and it's been one of our favorites ever since. I just love the mix of aliens and the 50s, and there's so many good people in it. It's a good movie for me, a good story.
A dream cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is funny though. It's like I think today, with the internet and conventions and stuff, it feels like that this movie may have found more of an audience. Like back then, I think you didn't get a lot of mentions in Starlog and Famous Monsters, and you were a lower genre movie. Your chances weren't that good of getting picked up.
Come to think of it, I kind of do remember. I remember Strange Behavior being promoted in Famous Monsters. I can picture it. There's an image of Fiona Lewis with the needle. I guess that's why I said Dead and Buried.
Yeah,
because there's a needle scene in that movie too. But
yeah, I think everybody remembered the 50s comic book covers of Damage to the Eye when they made these movies. And they're like, now we can do it in movies, and
it was a magical time for actresses like Fiona Lewis. Like they were. Trish Van Devere was a genre superstar for half a second. Yeah. Right around that time, they were sort of pushing her as sort of like a sexy lead for a film in The Changeling and The Hearse.
Oh, The Hearse. We watched that on New Year's Eve one year. Your dad picked The Hearse. He's like, let's watch The Hearse. And I'm like, that's really not a New Year's Eve movie. That's a kind of dark.
Hearse.
It's not a movie to start the year off with, but sure.
I saw that at the drive-in when it came out. And Don't Answer the Phone was the second feature.
Oh, wow.
And The Hearse is PG, but Don't Answer the Phone is R, and it's one of the hardest R's you can see.
Yeah.
And the opening 5 minutes of it are so incredibly violent, and it's just like really sadistic. We had to leave the drive-in a hurry because that came
the
on.
kids that were next to us at the last drive-in Monsterama, who
Oh yeah, for what have you done to Solange?
yeah, they're like, we found a knife inside her vagina. And there was like 10 kids below 10 years old, like right next to us. And I was like, it doesn't get any better. Like it actually gets worse. Like maybe Galley aren't the movies to bring your kids to, but whatever.
My parents would just blame each other. My dad would say, Jackie, did you know this was in here? And she'd go, no, I've never rented this before. And he goes, oh, I can't believe you've shown this to your kids. Like it was all her fault. And then we just continue to watch it anyways. So, I mean, they just had to put it out there that they knew.
The only time I can remember my mom physically stopping something was we were watching Zorro the Gay Blade on the TV 53 late night movie. And I just wanted to set the tableau for you. And back then, like Penthouse had TV ads, and they would be like this month in Penthouse, and it would be like like baseball star, or like car racing, and then finally whoever the girl for that month was, she's like, and I'll be in there too, and like slowly starts to disrupt. My mom literally jumped up in front of the TV and went, no. Like I was like 6. Like what was I gonna do? Like nothing worked yet.
You obviously remembered it.
It obviously burned itself into my memory.
Yeah,
it was
job.
Lisa DeLue. That's who was in that.
What?
No, I just pulled an 80s port out of the back of my brain. It wasn't Erica Boyer.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I have to live
This is
up to
turning
that
into like a therapy session.
that I have.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for this because this we haven't shown a ton of science fiction, and isn't it weird? I was thinking about this while I was getting ready for the show. When we show a late movie, one of the few kid-friendly movies we show starts at 11 o'clock at night when kids are sleeping. I guess that's the juxtaposition, right?
Yeah, all the good stuff came on late. That was when Ghost Host came on at 11 p.m. And not that was so cutting edge or anything, but that was the time to be watching TV because you saw something cool like the Ghost Host, horror host movies, and then there would be like some twisted stuff too, like Lisa and the Devil or Hatchet for the Honeymoon.
Pre, PGH becoming Fox 53 when it was independent, they had like a wild Saturday night because they showed like John Binder's Bazaar, SCTV, Dave Allen, like these weird Benny Hill. Do you know what I mean? These like syndicated comedy shows that had no real home on TV. The $1.98 beauty pageant with Rip Taylor.
That was a must watch.
Yeah, definitely. And Madam's Place would probably be another one that fits into that. And they would show all these shows, and then you would go right from that into either Chili Billy or Ghost Host or Saturday Night Live when finally that changed around. And then you would go into Chili Billy after that. So, man, your Saturday nights from like 9 o'clock on in the late 70s, early 80s, like, man, talk about appointment television.
So good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah. And Hee Haw was on at 7, so you could like start off with a little Hee Haw or Lawrence Welk, depending on your predilections or the Muppet Show. And then, you were already set. You had a whole night of Saturday night watching, TV watching to do.
I still watch Lawrence Welk.
Do you?
I love the Welk Show. It's a really horrible thing happened at our former residence because our DVR had stopped working at some point. There was some sort of minor issue with it. We had to call the cable company, and then they came in while I was at work, but Mark was home. And I was like, well, did the cable company come today and fix the DVR? And he's like, yeah, they just gave us a new one. And I was like, what? My entire Welk collection was on that DVR. All this good stuff that I didn't have a way to get it off of the DVR. So I just sort of like lost all of it, and they stopped broadcasting it in this era. It's really weird. It's like seeing a diorama come to life and sing to you. Watching the Welk Show.
It is really the weirdest show, and it's like, and it was on forever. And when I was young, even as a kid, I was like, are these new episodes or are these? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a difference between a new and an old episode? Does anyone watching know if it's a repeat? It's just. And he got his bubbles from Pittsburgh, Bill. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes.
At the William Penn.
Yeah. What a gimmick! Like back then, you're like, your gimmick is bubbles. Cool. There weren't a lot of gimmicks then.
such great success he sailed to in those bubbles.
You're getting spilling drinks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm giving you the drink spiller, the affable drink spiller.
Why?
My gimmick.
I really want to drink, so why don't you do the cocktail?
That's a good idea. I'm going to try to get up here. Becca's in the fancy chair with Cubby. I'm in a small table. There's Cubby. By the way, stay tuned for after. Should I spoil it? I'm not going to say what it's going to happen, but
Yeah.
Cubby's going to get involved in the next segment. So,
Vivi.
There's Vivi.
Man.
She's preoccupied. She doesn't want to be on this stupid show. She's messing with her skinny pelt.
Preoccupied with her beauty.
He's like, I smelled you on my mother the other day, and it was not pleasant. I'm not happy.
Yeah,
Came home.
They have issues now.
Came home smelling of another dog. That's great. Wonderful. Let's see if
I have a confession to make. I'm not actually going to be making the beverage that you're going to be making tonight because, well, I saw blueberry vodka and I knew right away I wasn't going to be able to.
Yeah, you know what? I went today to get it and I lucked out and got it. So, also, I just said, if you want, you can just straight up use regular vodka in this recipe if you'd like. That's how the Italians say recipe. All right, recipe. Hey, recipe. All right, let's see if we can get this camera to not be. There we go, buddy.
I didn't know what you were doing with it. I was like, maybe this is
it. Quite obviously. So this is called the Blue Orb, which will make more sense after you watch the movie, right? And I'm going to change it up a little bit from what was on the site. Once I find my extra ingredient, I bought one more ingredient. If I can find it in here in this wacky little fridge.
I'm going to be done with mine before you're even starting yours.
I know, this is the time-space continuum is not being kind to me. I'm going to have to call Becca in on this one. Oh, there they are.
Will she come to your rescue?
No, I got it. So we're going to start with some actual blueberries. I often forget, like, there's a lot of people on here that aren't from Pittsburgh. So if I do a Lou Pappin impersonation, not everybody's going to get it. You remember that commercial where he's like, blueberries, blueberries, blueberries. You're going to love them.
Oh, yeah. He wore a funny hat, too, didn't he?
Yeah, his logo looked like, it was like a chef's hat, but if you turned it the other way, it looked like a dick. There was one when I first moved into my dorm in college, at art school, there was one in Allegheny Center. So we're going to put some blueberries in here and muddle up some blueberries to really get these to be blue.
It is Midori.
Bill's doing Midori.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Everybody, I think that's the beauty of the show. You can kind of do whatever you want.
We don't require that you make these beverages. In fact, if you're not of age, then don't do it.
Jeff Jordan knows. He's like, you're going to like it.
Like anybody under the age of 21 is going to be watching this show.
Well, the Fallon kids are watching it, but they're both drunk. So
they have their parents to guide them.
Yeah. So we're going to start with some vodka, and I want everybody to know, in case this Stoli is actually not from Russia, it's from Latvia. So I'm sure that's just semantics. The same rich people run both sides of the world, so let's not really worry about where stuff comes from. So we're going to do an ounce of blueberry vodka. This drink's like the United Nations, because it's also got Malibu in it, which is a good Courtney Love song. And we're going to do an ounce of that. And then we're going to do 2 ounces of pomegranate juice. It is in the fridge. Thank you, Becca. And I also need the pineapple juice. It's in there. It's in a little tiny baby can. And then we're going to do 2 ounces of the pomegranate.
Solid.
Yeah, I brought it up.
I thought there was some kind of pomegranate liquor you had to put in this.
Not this one.
Oh, okay.
Did I say pomegranate rum? I did.
Yeah.
Well, it should be pomegranate juice. You know, sometimes when I do these recipes, it might be like 2 a.m. or later, right?
That would have changed everything, Sam, because I still have a whole bottle of that shit left over from the last time.
Oh, well, I'll make something with it then.
Okay.
I brought up pineapple juice. I don't know where the F I put it. Oh.
This
Let's
is at
just
least
do
a PG-13 program, Sam.
Here it is. And we're going to do a half an ounce of BOLS balls. You know, they tried to get people into ginger balls. Not that kind, but like the ginger flavored balls. And it's like...
What do you mean not that kind?
Yeah, I don't know who's into those kind. But they were marked down to like $4 at the state store, and I was still like, yeah, I don't know if this is the right idea. All right, 2 ounces of pineapple juice. And now let's tightly seal that. Because it's blue.
Yes.
Oh, wait. Put the ice in it. Put the ice in it. Let's do it. No, keep it tight.
You got some extra shaking in there.
Yes.
It's blended now.
Blended. All right. Now, let's pour that out.
It's the purple string.
It's more purple than blue. Oh, well. Can't win them all. Becky, you want to try this sip?
No.
Okay.
My drink has nothing to do with Strange Invaders, but cheers to Strange Invaders anyway.
Here's to Strange Invaders. Here's to Christina. Here's to Becca doing the show. Here's to Cubby's appearance in the next segment. Here's everybody out there in Romper Room land.
It's Christina. She knows where to find the boys and the booze.
Exactly.
Man, this is really good.
Oh.
Let's see. This is Becca's reaction. Your reaction right to the camera one.
Actually, not bad. Sweet.
Little sweetie.
Very good.
Thank you.
Mine is delicious. I basically made a melon ball with vodka, Midori, and pineapple juice, but I also used watermelon juice.
Ooh.
Like one of those Tropicana watermelon mixes.
You're one of those fancy lads.
I think I'm going to go into sugar shock now, but I guess that's why we drink these things.
Also, if you come to the drive-in in a couple weeks, come see us. I'll be mixing these up at the drive-in. And you'll say, as I think Mark Duckham said last time, he's like, these are really strong. Yeah, no shit, I'm an alcoholic. So enjoy.
We don't endorse alcoholism. Just having a good time. So these are the ads that I was able to dig up for Strange Invaders, our only feature this evening, which came out towards the end of 1983. This was in, so I guess I didn't put any dates on it. I'm going to fire that producer, I swear. This was like September 16th, 1983, I believe, when this movie finally saw the light of day. It was supposed to come out in the summer, but instead they just kept pushing it further and further back until it was just in the no man's land. And there were actually not a lot of great reviews of this. It really was not very critically applauded. Some people did. In fact, I found a great review from a New Jersey newspaper that said it was better than anything that had come out that year, any sci-fi film that had come out that year, and I think they included E.T.
Wow.
So, yeah. Or they said it was better than E.T. anyway, which, I think that's going a little far, personally. But they're not even the same kind of movie. I don't know why you would even bring up E.T. when you said something like that. Not a really extensive ad campaign, but I did find some of these little variations.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
The white space is really cool in it.
Yeah, it's an interesting ad. I don't know.
The
And maybe-
Orion logo was seriously one of my favorite logos ever.
Yeah. Oh, it was so exciting, wasn't it? You saw that come up.
Coming. You knew it was good.
When it came on the beginning of RoboCop, I was like, well, obviously this is going to be a quality movie.
Oh, I don't know if you noticed this reactionary comment in the chat. Mike Justice says he's never seen E.T.
Oh,
You're not missing that much.
yeah, it's a great movie.
Look, Smokey and the Bandit Part 3 was a contemporary of Strange Invaders.
Literally, Smokey is the bandit, that's my dream that comes out.
And speaking of Diana Scarwood, there she is
Aw.
in one of her big moments in the film. And there she is again.
Is it legit? It is a real
It is
movie.
legit.
It's a real movie.
It's not legit. Let's be honest. It's terribly non-legit. It's illegit.
Is this an illegitimate movie?
The funny part of it is this is one of my favorites, and all the road trips and stuff I've done, and I mean I've driven cross country like 7 times now. There's so many Centervilles, and I always get excited. I'm like, do you think this is the Centerville where Strange Invaders is?
Didn't Nancy Allen and you talk about this movie?
Yeah.
What did she say? She said her neighbor wrote it?
No,
Did she say someone she knew wrote it and that's why she did it?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she said something like she knew, maybe it was Bill Condon, and she's like, well, he wrote it and gave it to me, and I was like, well, yeah, I'll do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, she's just, like I said, it's got some of my favorite people in it. Paul Matt was also in the very first Puppet Master. So he's our main character, Charles Bigelow. Louise Fletcher, who, it's funny, when you do find this in the store on DVD, it's always with Invaders from Mars, which also has Louise Fletcher as the main character. She plays the alien teacher.
Okay, I was trying to remember that earlier.
Yeah, she's the frog. So, so she's in it. And then, of course, Nancy Allen. She's just such a big deal to me because, I mean, she's Carrie, obviously. Miss Chris Hargensen. Poltergeist 3. And
yeah,
I mean,
you like Poltergeist 3?
Oh, I have to. It's from my time. I love them all. Except for the new one. The new one was terrible. It didn't even get a Becca rewatch, which a lot of these new ones do, just to make sure I don't like it. It didn't even get a rewatch. But also Wallace Shawn is in it. He plays the little landlord who is from Princess Bride and, I mean, a million other things. Who else? I mean, there's so many.
This whole non-looking at. She hasn't looked up any of this. In case you wonder why we're married, this probably is one of the main reasons right there.
Because I found someone to enjoy these movies with.
One of our first dates, we watched the remake of The Blob, and I was like, I
it.
can't believe she picked this. I texted one of my friends. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
That's got a million good people in it too.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Nancy Allen was super, super nice to meet in person. And like I said, she's in so many of my favorite movies. And of course, Dressed to Kill, which is probably, I mean, it's in my top 10 movies of all time. And I mean, she was actually married to Brian De Palma at one point.
And she tried out for Inferno. And he said, hey, Argento's really good. Look at that.
And she was just, like I said, just the nicest person to meet. So it was very good. It was on my bucket list.
What year was this?
This picture was taken, I think, like 2018.
Look at all your tattoos.
4 years old now. Yeah, there's more now.
You've gotten a few more since then.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you can't see the Big Trouble one. It's like the whole other arm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite movies, and I love the fogginess effect, like how it's filmed. Like when you see it again, Bill, you'll notice it. It has a very foggy look to it, and I don't know why they did it, but I just always really liked the movie and the way it looked.
This has a kind of dead and buried feel to it too. It's like a less gory and less intense, less occult-ridden dead and buried bits. Kind of. This is yet another. Bill, how many movies have we shown where small towns are against everybody.
That's any movie where there's a small town.
Yeah, small coastal towns like Point Doom, maybe. These small towns don't go.
Let's
don't
scare
go.
Jessica to death. Well, we didn't actually do that on the show.
Yeah,
We did a live tweet of it before we started doing the show. Remember when we did those?
yeah.
It seems like so long ago. We haven't done that in forever, but that was fun. Anitra Ford commented on that from Messiah of Evil.
Oh man. So yeah, I love movies like this, and just because like that menace that's within this small town America is always a big thing to me. So that's what I dig about this too, as well as like the kind of like who can you trust, especially very Invasion of the Body Snatchers-esque kind of stuff is always fun.
And I love the music in this movie. Like whenever anything exciting happens, I think it's got a really good score for the type of movie it is,
I agree. Yeah, it has a very unique atmosphere to it. I remember that. I didn't dislike it the first time I saw it, but I remember that it was not at all what I thought it was going to be, which is a good thing sometimes. I've become, now I look for that. And when I was young, that used to piss me off. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. This was a movie like that, but I actually really liked it. After, it defied my expectations in a good way.
And I mean, it's got some grossness in it. It's got some green blood. It's got a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the
I
effect.
don't like to give away anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, but when the spaceship comes, that's a pretty gross part. When people start peeling off their faces.
Spoiler alert.
It's the late one. We have to keep people now. They got to watch to see.
Yeah, you're giving them like things that hooks to stay awake for. Stay awake for this. This does work really well with Invaders from Mars, though. I think that makes a nice double feature.
And
Bill, I got the chance to speak. It'll be on the site in probably 2 weeks or so, but I got a chance to talk to William Stout yesterday for about 2 hours. And he did the production design for Invaders from Mars and told me, working with Toby Hooper, he learned early on, someone gave him the secret, is that Toby talked to himself nonstop. So if he said, no, like that meant he didn't like it. And then eventually he'd be like, yeah, maybe, and it would be in it. So you had to like gradually turn the conversation to get him to change the way he was speaking, and just keep hitting him with ideas nonstop. Don't just show him one idea, which I thought was pretty well. Dan O'Bannon taught him that. That's who he told me. He taught him that trick. So pretty wild.
I don't think I ever heard him speak.
Yeah, he said he was. I said, what was it like to work with him? And there was a long pause. And he goes, well, he's interesting, but I liked him. But real interesting. So I'm really excited to get this interview up because William Stout worked on everything. Like,
he had a lot of good info.
Yeah, I mean, he designed every single piece of Return of the Living Dead, like the set, everything, and he's in it too. He's one of the homeless guys in the alley at one point. But, and he also did the Willies, like tons of stuff you would never guess that he did. And we spent a lot of time talking about a Steve Miner canceled Godzilla movie that he was going to work on, and it's really amazing how much work 2 years of work went into it and it never happened. And I also didn't know that he painted all the paintings for House that are in the Dead Ants paintings that show the other world. That's all William Stout painting those. He just sold one of them the other day. He told me.
I told Sam to ask him if we could have one.
He's like, I still have all of them, but I just sold one of them. So yeah, he's really.
I mean, how much could they be going for?
Yeah, I mean, how much? But yeah, and he's still doing stuff. He just did Pan's Labyrinth a couple years ago. And he was actually going to do At the Mountains of Madness with Del Toro, which hasn't happened. And just tons of stuff. So I'm really excited because, like, and hearing about him doing Invaders from Mars was really interesting. So I'm excited for people to read this.
I like that. I like I like his Invaders from Mars. And not for the least reason is the fact that Karen Black's in it.
Yeah,
I love Karen Black.
love her. And I love all three Toby Hooper's canon movies are all great. And in tremendously weird ways. They aren't the movies that canon thought they were going to get. And they're all
What is?
They're all kind of failures in a way, but and magnificent disasters is the way I look at them. So I love all three of them. So
They're beautiful things.
Life Force is astounding that it's like, hey, we're going to give you as much money to make the movie you want. And it's like, cool, we're going to just have a naked girl destroy most of London. Cool. Whatever you need, Toby. So, yeah.
Do you think they regretted any of that?
I think that canon was making so many movies they didn't even think about it. I mean, they made 70 movies in 1987.
And I mean, they found their audience.
They found their audience. Stout told me that
They're still making money off it.
he went to the debut of the premiere of Delta Force, and the Canon offices were in the middle of 4 parking garages. They took over all 4 garages, and they had a different chef on the top of the roof of each garage. And he's like, this movie was a piece of shit, and they had this gigantic premiere just for Delta Force. And like Lee Marvin had one garage, Bronson had one, Chuck Norris had another one, and you had to like go to each garage to meet them. He said it was a wild night, and I was like, man, like I can't even imagine.
So your dreams are made of.
I would react to Charles Bronson just like I did any celebrity I meet. Like, I really like you, and then I just
and then he walks away.
Slowly walk away.
Sam,
I'm always behind him. I'm like, go talk to him. I said, this is what you've been waiting for. You know, you love this person. He goes, yeah.
You know, when you killed the giggler in Death Wish 3, that was really cool. Okay, goodbye. That's exactly what I'd say.
Someone turns into a little guy.
Yeah, a little guy.
It is an awkward way to meet somebody. I don't know. Like it's kind of uncomfortable for me. I get what you're saying, and I know why you back away from people because it's just sort of like a forced interaction.
Yeah, the interviews are easier because then it's like time to gradually build like a rapport and talk through stuff and get to know stuff. So yeah, it's really hard. Like, and I always feel like kind of like, who am I to like take up this person's time?
You're the person paying them $50.
No, I know. I just like, if you really respect somebody, then you really don't want to, take up too much of their time. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, people do have a story to tell.
Yeah,
that's why you talk to them is because they have a story to tell, and you're interested in it. So all you have to do is just get them talking sometimes, and that's what they want. They want to do that. They want to get that story out too. At least most people that I've interacted with.
Bundy, I was able to talk for some reason. I don't know how. Like, I think just because he was so personable and was like, and I also asked him
with Tommy Lee Wallace. He's wanted to talk to you. Some of them want to talk about their craft.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
A lot of people.
Sure.
Yeah, like Dean Cundy, not a lot of people are like, tell me how the Airflex fits into that. Like super like in-depth discussions of how the Steadicam was built back then and how it changed, and that's the stuff I want to know, and so that works. Versus like I think a lot of other people get ones where it's like, though what I did meet, I saw Sean mention Adrienne Barbeau or Scott did. When I met her, I knew that she had been, there's a territory in wrestling, the LaBelle territory, and she was a ring girl for those shows, and she would hold up their phone number for tickets. And she was only 16 when she did this. And when they did the question, she did Escape from New York at the Warhol. And I asked her, I said, what was it like to be a ring girl for the LaBelle family? And she's like, how do you know that? And I was like, and she said, please stick around. I want to ask you about this. And she said to me, she said, my mom dated a lot of wrestlers, and that's how I got the job. And she goes, and my mom and John, Carpenter, all they did was talk about wrestling. They drove me fucking nuts. And she's like, and I only liked it because I got to be on TV. She goes, that's why, Ox Baker is in Escape from New York and why Roddy Piper's in They Live, because all John did back then was watch wrestling and talk wrestling with her, which is pretty amazing. So it was really cool. Like that made it a little easier. But yeah. She's also incredibly nice too. She remembered the phone number for tickets. It was like, she's like, that was 30 years ago, but I knew I had to say it on TV, and it was the first line that I memorized. And she like read me the number, and she was like, that was the number you called for LaBelle tickets to go to wrestling. So pretty cool.
For those of you watching who might not know this, Sam is a wrestler. How would you describe your wrestling career, Sam?
What way?
In what venue were you presented? Or like where did you work? What would you call that? It wasn't.
I'm still doing it.
Pro-
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you haven't stopped.
Yeah, independent
I
wrestling.
would hope at this point in his life he'd move on to more the mentor coach section, but
Hooker waitress, model
Yeah.
actress. That's my second Courtney Love reference of the night. Yeah, independent wrestling, but I've trained a lot of guys.
in WWE.
Yeah, Elias in WWE, and I can't remember what his name is now. He was DJZ in TNA. Now he's I can't remember the name he uses in NXT. Those are a couple of my kids, and
Also, people in AEW.
yeah, couple people in AEW, and yeah, and still doing it. My biggest goal was to go to Japan and wrestle in Japan. So I've done a couple tours, and I always just wanted to do death matches, mostly like hardcore matches, and I just love wrestling. It's pretty much my character's me, but just amped up, more satanic, and I actually come out to the theme from Zombie now. So
More satanic.
more. I mean, can it get there? But yeah, but yeah, I got a show coming up April 19th. If you're wondering why I'm not, I'll be late that night on the show. But yeah, I'm excited. I still love it. I've been doing it 25 years, but there's definitely like a crossover between, wrestling and drive-in movies. It's all like carny exploitation stuff. It's all in the same kind of world. And I think especially good.
I could have sworn there was something on social media where you announced your retirement from wrestling, or did I imagine that?
I imagined it too.
Yeah, I quit a company, but I was debating being done, but I got a good offer. So,
Okay.
I just,
As long as I'm not crazy.
no, you're not crazy. But yeah, my last group was called the Grindhouse. I mean, it was all horror movie characters pretty much. So trying to figure out what the next thing is, but I still love it. And if you do watch, actually, if you watch any movies with wrestling in it, Gene LaBelle is one of the family of that promotion. Judo Gene LaBelle's in every movie. All the marbles. He's in. Anytime there's a referee for a mud wrestling match or a wrestling match in a movie, it's always Gene LaBelle in those movies. He's in a ton of stuff, and a lot of guys from that territory, like Pepper Gomez and like Toru Tanaka was from there. Who was in a ton of movies, and Harold Sakata, who was Odd Job. They all came from that territory. And they were all, because Los Angeles, when they look for a tough guy, that's who they grab for shows. And so yeah. There is some crossover there with, especially like Woody Strode wrestled there too before he got more into acting. After he got out of football and before, especially he started doing stuff. So
Is he related to Laurie?
he's her black brother. But yeah, and anywho, I'm really excited for the movie tonight. How about that?
We got a really nice shout out on Twitter the other day.
I know, it's so crazy, right?
From Grindhouse Films.
Yeah.
Grindhouse releasing.
I mean, it's pretty wild, right? I mean, they are the guys. I mean, that's why we have Gone with the Pope and The Swimmer and a lot of other stuff on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's great that you guys are watching. Thank you so much for saying nice things about us on Twitter.
Yeah. And I appreciate everybody that's watching the show tonight and stayed up late to watch this with us.
Yeah, you guys are great. That's why we do the late movie, because sometimes on Saturday I have to work my real job, and I don't want to go a weekend without doing the show because it's just so much fun to get up, talk about some great movies and interact with all of you. So thank you so much for making this a thing that we can all do, and it's fun because we definitely need more of that.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyhow, anything else you want to say about Strange Invaders before we get to it?
I really wish they had made the third one, which was going to be like a kind of
bummer
movie serial kind of take. But it's so cool that they made two of them, and it's neat that like the idea of making unconnected trilogy of movies It's kind of like Cliffhanger, like the NBC show that was like, how did anybody think that was going to be a success? The episode started halfway through, and the audiences for the like, who wants to watch a cowboy show in 1980? Me, but there you go.
All right. Well, the link to watch tonight's only feature, Strange Invaders, is posted on Tubi on the Groovy Doom page. So if you just go to one of the previous posts before this video, you'll see it there. You have to watch it on Tubi, so there's going to be commercials. So we'll make sure everyone has enough time to finish watching the film before we come back afterwards to talk some more about Strange Invaders on the Drive-In Asylum. Late movie.